Thank you. Thank you very much. We started Street Sounds back in 1971. It's over 40 years ago. I got together with my little brother's best friend, Dean Carabatos. And so we started putting music and poetry together because what we wanted to do was to take poetry and music, which are two art forms, blend them together, and make it more accessible to the public, to the people out there. So I'd like to introduce my partner and musical director, Dean Carabatos. And my poetry is, I write a lot about the city of Chicago, where I grew up. I came to Chicago when I was 9 years old, back in 1955, the same time that the Musketeers were on. Oh, you remember them? I fell in love with Annette Funicello. And Elvis came out around that same time, except I wasn't as big a hit as he was. Anyway, so I write a lot about the experience and that I went through as a Latino, as a Puerto Rican in Chicago. And so this first poem is called Waiting for a Bus. It goes like this. I, Billy Sanchez, son of Eugenio the Black One, son of Benita the Spaniard, with memory flashes of things I knew in my brain feel good, so good today. I feel my heart beating and my brain and my legs with music of guitars and poems from the hills when we could touch the stars. I think of my laughter that makes me proud. I talk of things aloud and nothing more. My songs at night say I give of myself to her, to him, to others. My songs near a brook that leads to a river, to an ocean that leads to America, USA. I am happy, so happy like warm days hunting for things in the forest, things I knew nothing of but expected and knew nothing of. Now I wonder, should I have not been ready for such sad things? So I, Billy Sanchez, on a bus in Chicago, go to work in a factory with many others. On a bus in Chicago, go to work in a factory with many others. Thank you. Thank you very much. Dean Carabatos, ladies and gentlemen. And Francisco Gonzalez. Thank you. So I started writing poetry when I was 11 years old. I couldn't speak English when I came to Chicago, and at that time, I was 9 years old. At that time, they didn't have anything like English as a second language. So what they did is they demoted you and put you like in first grade until you learned how to speak English. And so I learned how to speak English real quick because I didn't want to hang around with those first graders, you know? And so it was a process of acculturation, you know, that I went through. My parents, when we came to Chicago, in Puerto Rico, at that time when I was going to school in Puerto Rico, I remember that, you know, if the teacher wanted to give you recess, they would just take you out. And no bells rang, you know, for lunch, they would just take you out, no bells rang. And when I came to Chicago, what happened was that my mother said, "Hijo, son, when the bell rings, that means you come home." So I did just that. When the recess bell rang, I'd go home. When the fire drill bell rang, I'd go home. When the lunch bell rang, I'd go home. So that's how I wound up in special classes anyway. And then my fourth grade teacher, Ms. Greenspan, was teaching us about poetry, and she says that poets have a special language, that they can create their own language. And I go, "Teacher, does that mean that I don't have to worry about grammar, about commas and dots and all of that?" And she says, "Basically, yeah, you can create your own language. You don't have to use those." So I said, "Bingo, I'm a poet." And that's how I became a poet. Nothing inspirational about it. You know, I was just looking for an easy way out. Anyway, so not too long ago, you know, in Chicago's got this big poetry scene, and not too long ago, the Sister Cities program in Chicago, in Illinois, they had a big contest, and the sister city was Osaka, Japan, and it was a poetry contest with the prize being a free trip to Osaka, and you would get to, you know, recite poetry over there and represent Chicago. All expenses would be paid for and all of that. And at that time, Mayor Daley at that time, he loves planting trees, and Japan was celebrating some kind of a tree festival. So the contest poem had to be about trees. So I decided that the contest, you know, what I did is that I wrote a poem about a tree. Then I had to do it in front of these judges. And I wrote this piece for the contest that I read in front of a panel, you know, of selected jurors. And though I didn't win anything, it was just a real blatant cheap shot at cheating. And so I thought I'd share this with you. It's called Under the Bonsai Tree. We would meet under the bonsai tree at Lincoln Park. We fell in love during study hall at the old LaSalle Elementary School. She was the smartest student in school, and I was always on probation. Her name was Angie Konishi, and she was Japanese. And because of our differences in ethnicities and IQ scores, Angie and I would meet in secrecy under the bonsai tree by Lincoln Park. The bonsai tree was one of those dwarf trees the Japanese are so fond of growing. But since Angie and I were extremely short for our age, the tree was perfect for us. Many were the blissful moments we spent under the bonsai tree by Lincoln Park. She would read to me from her advanced level calculus trigonometry book while I whittled away with a switchblade on a piece of wood I stole from woodshop. One day, Mr. Ittmeyer, the school disciplinarian who wore his gray hair in a crew cut so as to get that Hitler Youth look he so much adored, followed us to the park. He saw us go under our bonsai tree, and pinching the tree with his forefinger and thumb, he uprooted the tree and busted Angie Konishi and me. We went back to the Army Green School office, and our parents were called in for a conference. My parents couldn't make us since they had been there the week before and couldn't afford to take off another day from work. But Angie's family attended the meeting in shame and dishonor. Right there and then, it was decided to separate us by sending Angie Konishi back to her village in Japan. Since then, I have been searching over half a lifetime for my love, Angie Konishi. Recently, I discovered that the name of her village is Osaka, Japan. And that is why I must win this poetry contest, so that I can fly to Osaka and be with my true love, Angie Konishi, who I met under the bonsai tree by Lincoln Park. So won't you please have a heart and allow me to win this poetry contest? Thank you very much, and God bless you. Anyway. Yeah. Well, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Anyway, one of the wonderful things about working with music is that you meet some of the most wonderful, seasoned, and best musicians around. And I like to, the musicians are now, they're going to do a piece, this group. It's called Lágrimas Negras. It's in Spanish, and it's, Lágrimas Negras means black tears. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Ana Santos Sanchez, one of our singers over there. Yes. And we'll introduce the group. Thank you. And even though you decided to leave me, even though my illusions have all but died, rather than curse you justly and righteously, in my dreams I bless you and begin to cry. The immense sadness I suffer from your departure, the pain profound since you left, I still do find. I cry in secret what you don't know in my tears. Oh, these black tears that forever will be mine.
Sufro la inmensa pena de tu extravío. Siento el dolor profundo de tu partida. Y lloro sin que tú sepas que el llanto mío tiene lágrimas negras, tiene lágrimas negras como mi vida. Y yo no quiero sufrir. Contigo me voy, mi santa, aunque me cueste morir. contigo me voy, mi santa, aunque me cueste morir. Juega, Julie.
Thank you very much. Ana Santos Sanchez, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only. We're gonna, what we like to do is, Dean and I are gonna introduce the musicians right about now. So Dean, you please do the honor of introducing everybody. I have to save my voice. I'm strictly union, you know.
And bongos, we have Isabalino. We call him Silo Landor. And miscellaneous percussion, Mr. Wilfredo Papo Lopez. And congas, our original conguero. He started with us when he was 14. Gustavo Peña. On bass, young Todd Hill. He's been with David for about 10 years now, so yeah, he's been with us for a while. And my very good friend, we met back in the 70s and started playing together, and we've stayed in touch musically, and it's been great, Mr. Francisco Gonzalez. And we're very fortunate to have with us sitting in tonight, local talent, Ms. Julie Froblum. Thank you, Julie. And you've met Ms. Ana Santos Sanchez.
Ana adds a touch of class to this group. We kind of need it.